Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back. I'm Fuzz, and today I'm kicking off spooky season on the channel with a list of my top 31 must-own 4K horror movies from the 70s and 80s. And as such, most of the titles I'm talking about here today are releases that I would consider to be demo-worthy 4K movies, or at the very least, the best these films have ever looked on physical media. And when I say must own, all I really mean by that is if you happen to be a fan of the film in question, then I do think it's a must own title on the 4K format. Now, going into this, I was trying to do a few different things here with this list. Obviously, first off, I was trying to give you recommendations for some great looking 4Ks. But I also tried to include a good cross section of different horror subgenres, whether that be creature flicks or vampires or zombies or werewolves or sci-fi horror, etc. But at the same time, I was also trying to strike kind of a balance, right, between like iconic horror classics on the one hand versus some of my personal favorites on the other. And in ranking these titles, I was not only taking into consideration the transfer and picture quality, but I was also trying to balance that with my own personal preference for the films themselves. So there are a number of different factors and variables at play here with this list. But generally speaking, this list is intended for horror movie fans who are relatively new to collecting movies on 4K and who are looking for some good horror recommendations on the format. And this might also be a good list just for those who are relatively new to the horror film genre in general, and people who are just kind of starting to dip their toes in the vast horror pool. But overall, I just think of this list as a really solid and maybe even kind of essential, like a starter pack for horror fans who are new to collecting 4K movies. Now, keep in mind the titles on this list today. That's just of the horror movies that I've seen on 4K so far, right? There are a number of titles out there that I've not had a chance to pick up yet, and that are actually on my list to check out. Some of them I might even check out in October when I do my my horror marathon. So as always, this is just my opinion based on the horror movies I've seen on 4K so far. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get into my list and rock this. Okay, so starting off with my number 31, from 1981, we have a Blue Underground 4K release here. I'm talking about Dead and Buried, such a great horror film. It's got this great, really creepy, unsettling vibe to it, and it just has an amazing atmosphere to it. Now, I will point out that this film has some stuff that's baked into the source. It seems like they use a lot of, I guess it's diffusion. I'm not exactly sure how it all works, some kind of like diffusion filter or lens or something, but it gives the image this kind of softer appearance in many of the scenes, kind of this almost hazy, like dreamlike quality, right? And that's baked into the source. So it's worth keeping that in mind. But I do think this is probably the best this film is ever going to look on home media, possibly the best it's ever going to look, period. Right? It is a great looking 4K that I think really stays faithful to the source as best as I can tell, or it stays true to the source, right? And it's just got some great stuff in it. You got the makeup effects done by Stan Winston here, the legendary Stan Winston, co-written by Dan O'Bannon, of course, of Alien fame. So yeah, it's a great movie with some great practical effects that really look good in 4K. So I definitely recommend it. For my number 31, Dead and Buried. Next up, for my number 30, we've got a 1987 film here, The Lost Boys, little vampire action there, and this one's just a whole lot of fun. This movie, I think what I love about it, and the reason I feel like it's kind of a must-own, is that it really taps into that 80s nostalgia big time. You got a great cast here. You got Kiefer Sutherland, Jason Patric, Jamie Gertz, and of course Corey Feldman, Corey Haim, and I always get a kick out of watching their antics. But this is a great looking 4K. I don't know if we'd go like full demo worthy on this one, but I do think it's probably the best this film has ever looked on physical media before. And if you're a fan of this one, you gotta have it in your collection in the best possible quality. So yeah, great film that I would highly recommend picking up on 4K if you're a fan. The Lost Boys. Okay, and for my number 29, I'm going to be cheating a little bit here with this particular entry. I've actually got two titles under this entry, and you'll understand why here in just a moment. But we're talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre for one thing. Right. I'm not necessarily the biggest Texas Chainsaw Massacre like franchise fan, but I do like the first two movies. And for me, those were definitely must own titles. So yeah, we got the first TCM here. This is the Dark Sky Films release, and it's a really good looking 4K. Now, you got to keep things realistic here with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Remember, this was shot on 16 millimeter film. It wasn't shot on 35 millimeters, so there's only so much we can do with the 4K. However, I do think the HDR definitely helps this one out quite a bit. There was also a UK release of this one from Second Sight Films. They did the nice chunky box, and I know a lot of people were going for that version over this one, but this is the one that came out first, and I didn't need the big chunky box for this particular movie. I was good just having it in the standard edition 4K, but it's got a ton of great bonus features too. Not only does the 4K look great, but it's got a ton of great bonus features. You get a full-on, making of documentary, which I think is an older archival one, but it's included there. But there's a bunch of other stuff too, interviews and all kinds of stuff. But the second title I wanted to talk about here is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And let me get this out of there for a sec. Let you check that one out. Now, this was released from Vinegar Syndrome, right? And this is the nice kind of thicker, chunky box. It's not super thick, but it's got that nice rigid hardbox edition. And these are long out of print now. You can probably find this particular collectible edition on eBay or something. But I think if you want this title in your collection, you may be just looking at a standard edition release. There is a standard edition 4K available both at Vinegar Syndrome and on Amazon that you can buy. But it doesn't come with a slipcover or, rigid slipcase or anything like that. The rigid slipcase edition sold out quite some time ago, I believe. But I did want to show you the cool slipcover that comes with this one. I like that Breakfast Club artwork. I always thought that was cool. Very cool. And I'll show you the back there. You do get a little spot gloss on there, which, you can kind of see it on the blade there. And of course, on the writing there, it's very cool. But I really like that. But yeah, I don't think you can get these anymore unless you take to eBay and you're willing to pay a little bit more for them. All right. So let me talk about what I was getting at here and why I included both of these on this list in this entry. And that's because Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is actually my favorite in the franchise, right? This is my favorite of the two and of any of the ones I've seen in the franchise. I do like the first one, but not nearly as much as the second one. I think the second one's a more entertaining ride in general. But I couldn't very well talk about only the second one without mentioning the original classic, right? So that's why we got two films on this entry. So, and this one, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, this does have a lot of special features as well. It's packed with a ton of special features. You also get a feature-length retrospective documentary included with this one as well, in addition to a bunch of other special features. This thing is so packed with special features, it's ridiculous. And it's a great looking 4K too. I mean, Vinegar Syndrome, they really know what they're doing with their 4K restorations. And this one was definitely no exception. So I highly recommend it. So I guess that's about all I can really say about these films. For my number 29, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 and TCM 2. All right, and next up for my number 28, we've got a Michael Mann film here from 1983, his only foray into horror, and I love it. Talking about The Keep, of course. This is a great film. Now, not everybody digs this one as much as I do. I'll be the first to admit that. But if you happen to be a fan of this film, then I do think it's a must-own on 4K. Now, you can't get this cool collectible box set edition anymore. Again, Got a little chunky box there. These sold out like within 2 days of being released. So you can only get the standard edition 4K, which has the same artwork. Actually, it has reversible cover art, so you get two different kinds of art. But this is a really well done 4K restoration. Vinegar Syndrome did a fantastic job with this title. From what I understand, this has had kind of a rough history with physical media. There haven't been a whole lot of physical media releases for this film. In fact, if I understand correctly, for the longest time, you couldn't find this film. For many, many, many years, they didn't have anything. There wasn't a DVD and certainly never got a Blu-ray release. And then I think it was in 2020, not until 2020 actually, that Imprint Films released a DVD. Not even on Blu-ray. I think it was Imprint Films. And so we finally got like a DVD in like 2020. Right. And I never bought it. I had been chomping at the bit to check this film out before it came out. I had heard about it for a few years, but I'd never seen it. Right. So when I bought this, it was a first time viewing for me. And I fell in love with the film immediately. I just love the atmosphere and the aesthetics of the film. They just look incredible. This 4K really does the film justice, in my humble opinion. Now, I'll be the first to admit the film has some problems with it baked into the source, right? The visual effects are really cheesy, and there's a reason for that, because their visual effects guy, I guess, passed away before the film was finished. And I think I read that, like, Michael Mann himself had to kind of go in and finish the visual effects. And, of course, it looks like it when you watch this. But if you can, I just view that as kind of the part of the charm of the film. So if you can kind of set that aside and not get too hung up on any cheesy visual effects, I do think there's a lot of really good stuff in this film for those who are fans of the 4K format. I have to assume this image looks the best it ever has, even though I had never seen it on any previous formats. I was really happy with how this film came out, with how the restoration came out for this film. But I'll be the first to admit it is a flawed film. It's kind of clunky and choppy, and this film has a very storied history, right? And Michael Mann encountered a shitload of problems trying to make this film, and it's why he ultimately ended up disowning it. But I think it's a fun, supernatural horror film. So, everybody's mileage on this is going to be a little bit different, but there is no doubt that the 4K restoration on this looks fantastic. Right. So, for my number 28, Vinegar Syndrome's The Keep. Okay, and for my number 27, we've got a Scream Factory release here, a 1975 film here, directed by the great Brian De Palma. I'm talking about Carrie, and I've got the 4K Steelbook here from Scream Factory. But you can also get a standard edition 4K for this one. I don't even know if this Steelbook is even available anymore. I'm guessing it probably isn't, but I mean, it's possible it is. Scream Factory usually does pretty good work. Their transfers are usually pretty solid. I can't really think of too many, if any, like Scream Factory transfers where I was unhappy with the picture quality at all. Their stuff usually looks pretty sharp in 4K, and I've always been quite happy with the transfers we get from Scream Factory and Shout Factory. I guess I'll show you the artwork on the other side there, because that's kind of cool. And kind of get a look at that there. But it's a great looking 4K. This looks stunning in 4K. You get some really nice depth to the image, and the colors really pop, and of course some great detail. Now there is some diffusion in certain scenes, so you get that kind of softer look that's part of a stylistic choice that De Palma made, right? But generally speaking, this is a fantastic looking 4K. Now Arrow Video in the UK also put out their version of Carrie on 4K, and it's sourced from the same scan as far as I know. I believe it's the same transfer, but I believe Arrow Video might have had like a slightly better encode. But, honestly, I was not disappointed in this at all. I was really happy with the way it came out. So I didn't really feel the need to double dip on 4K for this one. But of course, this is an absolute classic, so it's one I would definitely recommend adding to your collection in 4K. If you're a horror fan, if you're a fan of this film, it really does look tremendous on 4K. So for my number 27, Carrie. All right, moving right along to my number 26 here. I've got a title here that's maybe a little bit more controversial for some. Not everybody is going to be into this movie, but damn, it is a stunning looking 4K. It actually took me by surprise when I first got it and saw it. I couldn't believe how good it looked. From 1978, I Spit on Your Grave. Not the kind of film that I even thought I would ever add to my collection, but I was so curious about it, I just had to get it. And then I was like really impressed with how it looked on 4K. This is a surprisingly good looking 4K. The detail is really sharp and crisp. The colors just pop like crazy. And yeah, it just looks really good. So if you're a fan of like revenge flicks that are a little bit more hardcore, which I think this one definitely qualifies as a little more hardcore, then it might be one you want to check out because it really is a incredible looking 4K release. And it's got some great bonus features too. There is a feature length retrospective documentary included with this. And who put this out actually? Who was this? Oh, this is Ronin Films, which this may be the only release I own from them. I might have another one. But yeah, I don't have a lot of their titles. I'm not that familiar with them. And when I picked this up, I hadn't even heard of them before. But yeah, they did a great job on this 4K release. So if there are any fans of this film out there, you might want to check this one out. For my number 26, I Spit on Your Grave. All right, and next up for my number 25, we've got a 1985 film here. Let's get back into a little vampire action. I'm talking about Fright Night. This is such a great 4K, and it's got some amazing bonus features as well. In fact, it's got the documentary, the full feature-length documentary. I think it's called "You're So Cool, Brewster," the story of Fright Night or something like that. And it's, if I remember right, it's like at least 2 hours long. I think it's like 2.5 hours long. It's a really lengthy and comprehensive documentary on the making of the film, and it's awesome. I just love that they included that in this release. But beyond that, the 4K transfer looks incredible on this. It really does look great. When I first got this, I hadn't seen this film probably since the 80s, and it brought back a whole bunch of memories, and I just had a total blast returning to this one when I first picked it up a few years ago. However, this one does have a complicating factor, and that's the fact that it is a Sony Steelbook-only release. They never put this out in a standard edition 4K. They only put it out in a limited edition Steelbook run. And I believe the initial run eventually sold out. So I don't know what the availability is of this right now. Although I believe I saw something somewhere that they may be reissuing this Steelbook. Like you can pre-order it on Amazon, but I believe it might be some kind of UK import, but it was available on Amazon US. But I'm not totally sure what the deal on that is. I'll check it out, and if I can remember, I'll put a pre-order link in the comments down below. But I think this might be getting like a limited reissue on 4K, and that will be your chance to jump on this and pick it up. It is a cool steelbook. I should show you the back artwork there so you can see it. I think that looks pretty cool. But of course, you got your original artwork there, which is just classic stuff. So anyway, if you can get your hands on this particular title, then it is one I would definitely recommend adding to your collection. I do think it's a must-own on 4K for fans of this film, but I also recognize that it may be a little bit pricier than your average 4K release and not as easy to come by. But damn, it's a great 4K. So yeah, for my number 25, Fright Night. Okay, and then for my number 24, I've got a little David Cronenberg action here from 1983, Videodrome. Great film starring James Woods, Debbie Harry, and yeah, just a really cool film. And I've got the Arrow Video 4K release here. That was a UK only release, I believe. In the US, I believe it was Criterion that put this out on 4K. So if you want to get this film in 4K in the US, you can go with the Criterion release, the Criterion Collection release. I believe it is the same scan, same transfer, so it's more or less the same thing. I don't know if you get the same bonus features because Criterion, they often kind of do their own thing for bonus features, but I do believe it's the same restoration, same transfer. But this restoration looks absolutely killer. There's so much crisp detail, a lot of depth to the image like we would expect with 4K. That's definitely true here. And of course, the colors are popping, but the practical effects on this just look incredible. They really do. And it's such a trippy film that, I just had to put it on this list. Between the great restoration and the fact that it's just a great film, you cannot go wrong with this one on 4K. So if you're a Cronenberg fan, or if you're a fan of this film, then I do think it's a must own on the 4K format. So for my number 24, Videodrome. And for my number 23, from 1978, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, a Stone Cold classic. Am I right? I mean, how do you not love Invasion of the Body Snatchers? You got Donald Sutherland here, Brooke Adams, Leonard Nimoy, Jeff Goldblum in this, Veronica Cartwright, an amazing cast, and just a fantastic looking 4K as well. Nice, vibrant image that really pops, right? And some great detail. This is a Kino Lorber release. Now, this is the US version. We got Kino Lorber released this on 4K here in the US, but I believe Arrow Video just released this in the UK on 4K. And of course, I'm such a big Arrow Video fan that I probably would have bought that version if I hadn't already purchased this one, a few years ago. But it's a great looking 4K regardless. I'm sure they're sourced from the same scan or same transfer. And it's just a stunning looking image. So if you're a fan of this film, I definitely think you need to get this one in your collection. So for my number 23, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. All right, next up for my number 22, I think this is the first John Carpenter entry on this list. I'm a huge John Carpenter fan. This one from 1987, I'm talking about Prince of Darkness. Now, this actually has a new 4K Steelbook that just came out not that long ago. I haven't picked it up yet because, for one thing, I already own it on 4K. But for another thing, I do want to double dip for this particular title because the Steelbook looks awesome. I love the artwork on it, but I just couldn't quite bring myself to pay $45 for a standalone Steelbook, especially when it's a title I already own on 4K. So I thought I'd hold off and just kind of wait and see if that price comes down a little bit before I pull the trigger on the Steelbook. I do plan to pick it up at some point. But for now, I've already got it on 4K. I can watch it whenever I want, so I'm not exactly in any hurry if it's not selling out, right? But this looks awesome on 4K, and it's such a great film. I think it's one of for me personally, I've said this before on the channel when I've talked about this, it's got one of the creepiest scenes or series of scenes in it of any horror film for me. And for those of you who are fans of this film, if you know this film, I'm talking about those transmission dream sequences. Man, those things send a chill up my spine every time I watch this movie. Even now, it doesn't matter how many times I've seen it, it still creeps me out whenever I see those scenes. Anyway, Scream Factory 4K, they usually do a pretty damn good job with their transfers, and this one is no exception. It looks fantastic. So if you're a fan of John Carpenter and a fan of this film, then I would definitely recommend picking it up on 4K. So for my number 22, Prince of Darkness. And moving right along to my number 21, another stone cold classic here, Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984, Wes Craven. You just cannot go wrong with this one. Now, you've got a couple different ways you can go with this film because they released a standalone 4K of the first Nightmare on Elm Street film last year, right? And I obviously picked that one up. I wasn't going to wait around for a collection to come along. As soon as I saw it was coming to 4K, I was like, yeah, I think I got to get it. And at the time, I wasn't even sure if I wanted the entire franchise on 4K anyway. So, it was, I was totally cool with just buying this first film. But now we know that I think it's on September 30th, coming up pretty soon here in a couple weeks. We are getting a new release of the entire 7-film collection on 4K from Warner Brothers. So you can either buy the existing 4K release of just the first film, or you can get the entire franchise or most of the franchise, the 7-film collection in a couple weeks when it comes out. So you got some choices there, but the 4K for this looks tremendous. Warner Brothers did a great job with this restoration. I thought it looked really good. Certainly the best I've ever seen the film look, and I had it on Blu-ray as well. And this was definitely a significant improvement over the previous Blu-ray. So yeah, if you're a fan of Nightmare on Elm Street, it's a must-own for sure. You got to get it in your collection. The only choice you got to make is, do you just want to get the standalone of the first film, or do you want to wait and get the entire 7-film collection here in a couple weeks? So yeah, I guess that's about all I can really say about this one. For my number 21, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Okay, moving into my our top 20 here. For my number 20, from 1982, Poltergeist. Yet another stone cold classic, right? You got Steven Spielberg and Tobe Hooper here working together, it sounds like, to deliver this great experience. And oh man, this 4K looks awesome. I mean, there's a lot of flashing and cool stuff that happens in it, and it all just looks amazing in 4K. Some great detail, some great depth. The colors look incredible. The effects look really good. So yeah, you just can't go wrong with this one on 4K. I have the 4K Steelbook here, which I just like the 4K Steelbook more than the. I'll let you look at that for a second. I like the 4K Steelbook art more than the standard edition art. The artwork for the standard edition, I have to say, they really didn't do a very good job with it. It was pretty weak. So given the choice at the time when this first came out a few years ago, between this cool artwork in the pool versus the pretty lame artwork they had on the standard edition, I of course had to go with this edition. I just think it looks much cooler. But I definitely consider this a demo-worthy 4K. So if you're a fan of Poltergeist, I think you owe it to yourself to pick this one up on 4K. So yeah, for my number 20, Poltergeist. All right, and for my number 19, we've got a bit of a horror mashup here from 1985. We're kind of dabbling in sci-fi. We're dabbling in the whole vampire thing a little bit. A few different kind of horror subgenres touched here. Life Force. I love it. Absolutely love this 4K. Although in this case, I should give you a note of caution about this. Not about this version. This is the Arrow Video release, but about the Scream Factory 4K, which I also have. This Scream Factory 4K is not nearly as good as the Arrow Video release. For one thing, the Arrow release here has the full international cut, which is like the extended version of the film, right? In 4K. Right? Scream Factory did not include that international cut in 4K. They only included the theatrical cut. And then on top of that, I think the Arrow version has some better bonus features. I think there's like a making of documentary in there. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I think it's some kind of like retrospective making of documentary. And that is something that we did not get with this Scream Factory release. We did get some bonus features, but they didn't give us all the same bonus features that we got in this Arrow release. Now, the only problem is, it's if you're new to collecting 4K, this is a UK release. So you would want to get this from someplace like Diabolic DVD or Orbit DVD, some like independent retailer in the US that deals with imports, right? Or you might just order it from Arrow directly, right? But I would definitely recommend, if you're new to 4K and you're a fan of this film, get the Arrow Video version. Do not buy the Scream Factory release. I bought this when it first came out, which was, I think, about a year and a half before the Arrow release even came out. The Scream Factory, we only got the theatrical cut on 4K, and that was a bummer. Now, I should note, to be fair to Scream Factory, they do include the international cut on a Blu-ray in this release. They just don't include it on 4K. And that's obviously a drag, because if you're a fan of this film, you want to see the full version that's available, right? Not the cut down theatrical cut. Anyway, it's a great looking 4K. You definitely can't go wrong with this title on 4K. Arrow Video usually does do a pretty good job with their releases. And to be fair to Scream Factory one more time, I mean, the theatrical cut did look good on 4K here. It didn't look bad at all. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with like the restoration itself from the Scream Factory one, but they just didn't have all the extra stuff that the Arrow release did. But I'm almost always going to opt for the Arrow Video release release anyway, just because I'm such a big fan of Arrow and I just love the work they do. But yeah, this is a great looking 4K. So if you're a fan of this film, I would definitely recommend picking this one up. Life Force for my number 19. And for my number 18, a little more John Carpenter action here. Yeah, you can never go wrong with The Fog from 1980. And this is a great looking 4K, again from Scream Factory. Scream Factory did an awesome job with pretty much all the John Carpenter movies. I haven't been disappointed with any of the John Carpenter 4Ks that they put out. In fact, what I found is that the Scream Factory versions of these John Carpenter movies were actually better than the Studio Canal versions in the UK. The Scream Factory versions have a little higher quality encode. They're on a triple layer BD100 disc rather than just a dual layer BD66 disc like the Studio Canal releases. Now, of course, you can also get a standard edition 4K of this. You don't have to get this steelbook. I'm not even sure if this is even available anymore. But let's take a look at the art there, because I do like to show you guys the art whenever I have a cool steelbook like that. Yeah, I just love the artwork. And Scream Factory's steelbooks, they often look quite good. I have to admit, Scream Factory does a really good job with their steelbooks. But you can also get just a 4K standard edition from Scream Factory of this title as well. Yeah, absolutely love The Fog. The atmosphere is what makes this film. And, you know, the 4K is the best I've ever seen the film look, for sure. You know, I know it's kind of a cliche. We say that about all of them, but it's true. It's actually true here. It is the best by far I've ever seen this film look. So yeah, for my number 18, The Fog. Okay, so I'm going to wipe out like 2 entries at once here. I'm going to kind of talk about these next 2 entries together. For my number 17 from 1981 is my favorite werewolf film of all time, The Howling. I love The Howling, and this Scream Factory 4K looks fantastic. Like is often the case with most of their 4Ks, this is a great looking transfer, lots of great detail and depth, and you know, vibrancy to the image, lots of pop to the image. It just looks great. However, I have to also mention my number 16, which is American Werewolf in London, right? In fact, I'll put that one up there as well. Because I know these films often get talked about together, right? They came out the same year, and usually people prefer American Werewolf in London over The Howling. I'm just the opposite. I think The Howling is the better film, but I do like them both. And if I'm being honest, I have to give the restoration edge to American Werewolf in London. This is the Arrow video. Of course, I've got the chunky box release here that they put out, which I'm sure is long gone now, but you can still get a standard edition release from Arrow Video of this one as well. But I do think the restoration looks a little bit better on American Werewolf in London than it does on The Howling, and they're just different looking films. Right? That's just the aesthetics of each film are kind of unique and kind of different, right? So it's just the way it kind of worked out. So even though The Howling is my favorite werewolf film, and I do believe it's a must-own on 4K for any fans of this film, I got to give the edge on the restoration to American Werewolf in London. This is just an incredible looking 4K transfer, some amazing detail, some great depth, especially in those nighttime scenes, and lots of pop. The practical effects look awesome. It's got one of the great werewolf transformation scenes of all time. Well, actually, to be fair, I think the werewolf transformation scene in this is pretty damn cool as well. But you know, people talk about this one with regard to practical effects. This is the one that actually won the Academy Award that year for best makeup and visual effects, courtesy of Rick Baker. So for that reason, I've got American Werewolf at number 16, but 17 and 16, The Howling and American Werewolf in London, I recommend getting them both for your collection. If you're a fan of these films, if you like werewolf movies, yeah, both of these 4Ks really do look fantastic, and you can't go wrong with either of them. So yeah, The Howling and American Werewolf in London. Next up for my number 15, we are back in stone cold classic territory here. I'm talking about from 1973, The Exorcist. You gotta have The Exorcist in your collection, and you gotta have it in the absolute best quality possible. I think this is a great looking 4K, and it's certainly the best I've ever seen this film look before. You definitely notice that uptick in detail, and the colors look really good. The colors look great, and of course, there's a lot of depth to the image. The HDR really helps with those darker scenes quite a bit. So yeah, you can't go wrong with this one. And of course, the effects, the makeup effects look amazing in 4K on this film. This is just great stuff. You do get both the theatrical cut and director's cut here in 4K. And now there are some bonus features, but I believe, if I remember right, they were only available digitally. So you got like a digital code with this, and then the bonus features are part of that digital code. But it included the making of The Exorcist, but they didn't put the making of The Exorcist, that classic making of The Exorcist. It's like, I think, like an hour-long documentary. They did not put that on physical disc. They only included that digitally. So that's kind of the only drag about this release. But the transfer itself, the 4K restoration, absolutely looks awesome. So if you're a fan of The Exorcist, yeah, you got to have this in your collection. And of course, I have the 4K Steelbook here. I guess I should show you the back. Let you take a look at that. Pretty cool. I actually really like the artwork on the Steelbook. You can get this in the standard edition as well. The standard edition art looks pretty bad. It was not good at all. And as soon as I saw the cover art, the slipcover art for the standard edition, I was like, hell no, I do not want that one. But I love the blue. I actually really like the art here, and I love the blue Steelbook. I'm a big fan of blue, but the way they did it here, it just looks cool. It's creepy, but also has this kind of almost kind of artsy, kind of prestigious look to it at the same time. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could just be talking out of my ass here, whatever. But yeah, you gotta love The Exorcist on 4K. Okay, and then next up for my number 14, we got a 1980 film here that I've talked about a lot on the channel before, Alligator. Great Robert Forster film. I've often said on the channel before that I like this one more than Jaws, but it's a great little horror film, and the 4K, I think it's one of the better 4Ks that I've seen from Scream Factory. I think they just did a stunning job with this restoration. The alligator effects look incredible. They look really good. Yeah, you can't go wrong with the practical effects in this one. And it's just a nice, clean, crisp-looking image with lots of pop. And if you're a fan of this film, then I definitely think you should grab this one on 4K because it's just a hell of a lot of fun. I always enjoy revisiting this one. This one actually has quite a bit of rewatch value for me. I usually return to it every year around spooky season. But I don't want to spend too much time on this one because I feel like I have talked about it a lot. I mean, most of the titles on this list are titles that I've talked about on the channel before, but yeah, this is a particularly good one. So for my number 14, Alligator. By the way, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, do me a favor and please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do, don't forget to activate that notification bell as well so you can always be alerted whenever I'm posting videos that you might be interested in. Also, don't forget to like the video and maybe even leave a comment as well. The YouTube algorithm really likes it when you do that, and it rewards the channel with greater visibility. So thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Okay, and moving right along here to my number 13, from 1979, a title I've raved about a lot on the channel, Amityville Horror from Vinegar Syndrome. Vinegar Syndrome did an incredible job with this restoration. I had no idea this film could even look this good, but it is a stunning reference quality 4K, and certainly a demo-worthy 4K. And yeah, I mean, the colors on this alone look incredible. I had no idea that the colors could look as good as they do with this particular film, but the detail is really sharp and really crisp. And yeah, so much depth. This 4K restoration really surprised me when it came out a few years ago. I did not expect this one to look as good as it actually does. And like I said, I've talked about this one quite a bit on the channel before because I'm always singing the praises of Vinegar Syndrome's restoration here. Now you can't get this slipcover anymore. It's like a limited slipcover that's sold out. They did do like an alternate variant slipcover of this one, but or you can just get like a standard edition release that looks like that. I think if you order it from like Amazon, Vinegar Syndrome's version of this from Amazon, then that's what you'll get. You won't get any kind of slipcover. But if you go to vinegarsyndrome.com, if you do want a slip-covered edition, there is a newer black variant slipcover. I don't know if that's still available or not. I mean, that one might have sold out as well. But that was just released earlier this year. So that one is probably still in stock. But either way, if you're a fan of this film, I definitely recommend picking up the Vinegar Syndrome restoration on 4K. It looks awesome. So yeah, for my number 13, Amityville Horror. All right, and next up for our number 12, we've got a Dario Argento film here, the Italian Hitchcock, the maestro of horror from 1977, his classic film Suspiria, which is stunning on 4K. This is one of the better 4Ks out there as far as horror movies on 4K from that era. This is one of the best 4Ks out there. It is a truly awesome looking 4K experience, right? Not only do you get more detail and depth, but because of the way Argento uses color and these bold, really striking primary colors, they really, really pop on 4K. And it really is a tremendous looking 4K release. This is a reference quality 4K, in my humble opinion. It is top tier for me as far as horror 4Ks go. And there are a lot of really good horror 4Ks. Obviously, this isn't number one on my list, so I'm not considering it the very, very best of all of them. But it ranks pretty high up there in terms of if you're just looking at restoration quality, transfer quality, and the picture quality alone, damn, this thing looks so good. But yeah, if you're a big fan of Dario Argento or a fan of this particular film, you definitely owe it to yourself to add this one to your collection on 4K because it is an incredible looking transfer. And it's got some great bonus features as well. So yeah, for my number 12, Suspiria. And for my number 11, a little more Cronenberg action here. David Cronenberg's 1981 film, and I think my favorite Cronenberg film, Scanners. This is the second sight release, which is based out of the UK. And wow, this transfer looks really stunning. The practical effects really pop on this, and it's just a wonderful looking image. You definitely cannot go wrong with this one on 4K. Now, if you're here in the US, you might need to try and hunt this down from a place like Diabolic DVD or Orbit DVD. I don't know if Amazon will sell UK imports of this. Actually, they might. And there is a standard edition available. I've got this nice, super thick, chunky box there, right? Which I'm a big fan of the chunk. Whenever I can get these kind of editions for films that I like, I definitely jump on that. But yeah, you don't have to get the fancy box set. You can just get a standard edition 4K from Second Sight as well. Might set a little bit higher price point for those of us here in the US, especially on Amazon. But yeah, I would say check Orbit DVD or Diabolic DVD. They are probably your best bet for picking this one up on 4K. But really good looking 4K. In fact, I've been pretty happy with all of the David Cronenberg films on 4K. I haven't found one yet that I thought looked bad. They all look just fantastic. So yeah, love Scanners from 1981 for my number 11. All right, so getting into my top 10 here, and I have to say for a second that, you know, when we get into like the top 10 or 15, I think it's fair to say that all of these restorations, all of these titles look pretty damn good, right? They're all more or less demo-worthy titles. When we get into the top 10 or 15, we're kind of like splitting hairs here to try and rank them. Right. So don't read too much into my ranking here. It's kind of a loose ranking, but really, all of the titles from here on out, and even some of the ones before, they're all like stunning demo worthy 4Ks. And it's really hard to rank them. To try and figure out, well, is this one marginally better than this one or not? You know, it's a tricky challenge. And so sometimes that's where my own personal preference for the film itself kind of comes into play in ranking them, because the restoration and transfer quality, the picture quality on all of these is so close that I have to use some other kind of metric for determining how to rank these. Anyway, for my number 10, this title is in contention for Best 4K of the Year. Just came out this year from 1985. Reanimator. I got to be careful. That's a really heavy, chunky box set once again. Now, this is put out from Ignite Films. I think they're a relatively new boutique. They haven't put out a whole lot of titles. I think this is only like their second or third title. But damn, if this isn't just an incredible 4K restoration. They really pulled out all the stops for this one. I think the 4K restoration just looks absolutely incredible. And you get some amazing bonus features with this release as well, including a feature-length archival making of documentary, but there are a shitload of additional bonus features included with this release. Now, I've got the chunky box there from Ignite Films. This was a very pricey release, but I will say it looks like they are releasing a standard edition in, I think it was November I saw, or it's coming up, fairly soon. Maybe it's October. I can't remember. But Amazon, you will be able to get a standard edition of this title from Ignite Films from Amazon in the next couple months here. The collector's edition chunky box you could only buy from ignitefilms.com, or I think it's like ignite-films.com. The chunky box was like $80, and this wasn't even the most expensive edition, right? So don't be alarmed by that price. You're gonna, boutiques tend to charge a little bit more anyway. They tend to sit at a little bit higher price point, but the standard edition is not going to be that much. I think the standard edition is going to be closer to like $40 or something like that, if I remember right. And who knows, it might go down lower than that with Amazon's lowest price guarantee during their pre-order process. And I did a whole lengthy review of this title on the channel. So for those of you who would like to know more about it, definitely check out that review. Okay, and next up for my number 9, I've got another Stuart Gordon film here. In fact, I don't know if I mentioned that with Reanimator, which was also directed by the great Stuart Gordon, the late great Stuart Gordon. But I didn't plan it this way, having two Stuart Gordon films right next to each other on the list. It just kind of worked out. I absolutely love From Beyond from 1986. Really good film. Yes, I do like it even more than Reanimator. It's such a fun film. Of course, Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton back for this one as well. And wow, the practical effects on this 4K will blow your mind. They look so good. And they look great on, Reanimator too, but they look really good on this. And I just love what they did with this film. The 4K restoration is pristine. I had never seen this film before picking up the 4K, but I have to assume that this is the best this film has ever looked. Period. It is truly a top-notch 4K restoration, which is to be expected from Vinegar Syndrome. This is a Vinegar Syndrome release, and they always do great work, especially on their 4K releases. Now, I have this slipcover here. This slipcover is long sold out, went out of print quite some time ago. But like with Amityville Horror, they recently did like a new variant slipcover earlier this year. They did a new variant slipcover for this title. Let me show you the back because I love the artwork on that. That is really cool stuff. I just love it. So anyway, there is a new variant slipcover available. You can only get that through like vinegarsyndrome.com. You're not going to get that if you order this through Amazon. You'll just get a standard edition Amaray case release, no slipcover. But this is the original slipcover that came out for this title, and they sold out of those. So eventually they did a new variant slipcover for those who missed out on the first slipcovers. And I don't know if they're still in stock or if those variant ones sold out as well. But either way, this is one I would definitely recommend adding to your collection on 4K if you're a fan of this film. So for my number 9, From Beyond. All right, and moving right along to my number 8 here, another film that I've talked about a lot on the channel. Of course, I think most of these, especially in the top 10, I'm always talking about these films around spooky season every year anyway, but I can't sing their praises enough. When we've got really good looking 4Ks, I got to tell you about him. Pumpkinhead from 1988, directed by Stan Winston and starring Lance Henriksen. This looks incredible in 4K. It really does. The creature effects really shine on this 4K. And of course, lots of pop and all kinds of like glistening detail. You can see all kinds of stuff. And the HDR really helps with the darker, like the nighttime scenes. Yeah, this has got just, it's an amazing looking 4K. It's definitely a demo worthy 4K. Another film that I had never seen prior to picking up this 4K, because I only got into horror, like really got into horror like 4 or 5 years ago. I was kind of a late bloomer to horror, so I didn't see some of these films until many years later, but damn, I love this film. It's so good, and it has a lot of rewatch value for me as well. So yeah, if you're a Pumpkinhead fan, I definitely recommend adding this to your collection on 4K. So yeah, Pumpkinhead for my number 8. All right, and then for my number 7, I've got another Dario Argento film here, my favorite Dario Argento film, Phenomena. This looks incredible on 4K, and it's just a fun film. It's a bonkers film. It's way out there, but it's so awesome. You just cannot go wrong with this one on 4K. I definitely think it's my favorite Dario Argento film, and I think it's one of the better looking 4Ks of all the Dario Argento 4Ks. Now, Suspiria, I still think is maybe a slightly better looking 4K, but it's pretty close. I mean, this is pretty damn good, and you get some amazing detail in this, and lots of great colors and depth. So it was a close call. And this was also put out by Synapse Films, which is the same company that put out Suspiria. I don't know if I mentioned that when I was talking about Suspiria, but Synapse Films does great work on their 4Ks, on everything they do, 4Ks or Blu-rays. But they got Don May Jr. over there who really knows what he's doing. So you can be sure when you get a restoration from Synapse Films that it's going to be a top-notch restoration. And Phenomena is no exception to that. Now, once again, of course, I have the chunky box, the nice thick collectible box set edition. Of course, you don't have to get that. There is a standard edition available for this from Synapse as well, so that you can save a little money. This thing is long out of print, I think. I think it would probably cost quite a bit to like hunt it down on eBay or something like that. It's probably a fairly pricey release now, given that it's, I'm pretty sure it's out of print. I think they ran out of these chunky boxes a long time ago. All right, so I think that's about all I can really say about this one, other than just highly, highly recommended. For my number 7, Phenomena. And for my number 6, another one that I can't stop singing the praises of on this channel, The Blob on 4K. Holy crap, this looks great on 4K. It's the practical effects really shine on the 4K format. Scream Factory release here. Like I said, Scream Factory, they usually do a pretty good job, and I was really happy with how The Blob came out on 4K. Amazing depth, amazing colors. The colors are incredible on this. So if you're a fan of The Blob, the 1988 drive-in movie classic, then I would highly recommend picking this one up on 4K. So yeah, for my number 6, The Blob. All right, it's time for my top 5 here, the final 5 films on my list, and my absolute favorite must-own horror 4K movies. We've got another stone cold classic here for my number 5 from 1978, the original Dawn of the Dead, which I have in this second sight chunky box. It's still a chunky box. It's just not as chunky as their original, like massive release that they did here, but you do get a little bit of chunk. This is a slightly more streamlined version of like a 7-disc set that they originally put out when they first put this out. I don't know when it was, probably 4 or 5 years ago now. I think that larger, really nice box set is out of print now. At the time, I didn't necessarily feel the need to go all in a 7-disc set, but I did definitely want to own this on 4K, and so I got this more streamlined 4-disc set. So it's still a chunky box, right? And it's still got a lot to it. It just doesn't have a few extra goodies that the Ultimate Edition had. But you get 3 versions of the film on 4K here, right? You get a theatrical cut, and there's an Argento cut, and then there's an extended cut. And each version has its own 4K disc. And then you do get a Region B Blu-ray disc with special features. So keep that in mind. And I believe you can still buy this particular version from Amazon US. I don't think these are gone yet. I think you can still buy this. So I would definitely look into it. But keep in mind that the bonus disc is going to be Region B. It's not going to be Region A here in the US, right? So make sure you have some way to watch Region B discs or out-of-region Blu-rays on your player, because there is a fairly extensive retrospective documentary on that bonus feature Blu-ray disc that many of you are probably going to be interested in. Of course, the 3 4K discs are not a problem because 4K is largely a region-free format. So they'll play on any player in the world. It's really just that bonus disc that might give some people problems if they don't have multi-region capabilities. Anyway, truly an amazing looking 4K release. Like everything else, the best this film's ever looked on physical media, and a demo-worthy 4K in my book for sure. You cannot go wrong with the original Dawn of the Dead on 4K. So that is my number 5. All right, and for my number 4 from 1980, another absolute stone cold classic, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. And how can you not love this bad boy in 4K? It really does look incredible. So much pop, so much depth to the image. It really is an incredible looking 4K release, as you might expect from a Stanley Kubrick film. Right? I mean, Stanley Kubrick, the dude knew what he was doing. He knew how to make really gorgeous looking movies. And this 4K really puts that on full display. It's a must own for the 4K format. If you're a fan of this film, I think for any horror fan, you got to have The Shining in 4K, and you got to have it in the absolute best possible quality, which this definitely is. So for my number 4, The Shining. And for my number 3, I'm kind of cheating a little bit here again. I've got 2 titles for this entry because it was tricky and I couldn't decide what to do here, but you'll see what I mean here in just a moment. John Carpenter's Halloween, stone cold classic. How do you not include this on any must-own horror 4K list? This is not only a stunning looking 4K from Scream Factory, but it's just a classic film that it's a must own for the collection, right? And I personally think you got to have it in the best possible quality. And then now there are a couple different 4K releases of this film. You got the Scream Factory 4K release, but there is also, I think Lionsgate had a release of the film, and I would recommend the Scream Factory over the Lionsgate. The Lionsgate, I think, had a more muted look to it. It had definitely a different look to it, whereas I feel like the Scream Factory release has got a lot more pop to it, more vibrant, at least based on what I've seen of different screenshots and stuff, seeing the differences between the restorations. It sounds like the Scream Factory restoration was definitely the way to go. I wouldn't have been that happy, I don't think, with the Lionsgate version, even though some collectors will tell you that's the correct version in terms of what they think the film is supposed to look like. But I don't really give a shit about what's correct. I go with what my eyes see and what looks best to my eyes. And this looks amazing to my eyes. I really love what Scream Factory did with this John Carpenter classic. But I also had some trouble with this one because I am a huge fan of Halloween 3 as well. And I like this as much as Halloween. I really do. Now, even though Halloween 3 is not technically, like, it doesn't really have anything to do with Michael Myers, right? It's its own, like, standalone horror film. So I almost included this as like a separate entry, but I was like, nah, I don't really want to go down that road and have the Halloween movies take up two separate entries on my list. So I figured I'd just talk about them both here. But Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is such a great standalone horror film. And this 4K is absolutely demo worthy. It's an incredible looking 4K. The practical effects really shine on this 4K, and it's just got, lots of pop to the colors and lots of depth. But, some might even make the case, I think you could almost make the case this is a slightly better looking 4K than the original Halloween, although I don't know. Not everybody's going to agree with me on that. This is actually, of all the Halloween movies, probably my favorite, like 4K restoration, right? And then in terms of favorite films, it's a tie between these two, right? But you can't go wrong with either Halloween or Season of the Witch on 4K. I think they are both must-own titles on the 4K format for anybody who is a fan of these films. So Halloween and Halloween 3. All right, and then for my top two here, the only two titles on this list that I also included in my my decades videos that I was doing not too long ago, must-own 4K movies by decade. I did one for the 70s, one for the 80s, one for the 90s, and one for the 2000s. And these next two titles I did include in my 80s and 70s list, respectively, but they deserve a repeat mention because these are just horror classics as far as I'm concerned, and they're absolute must-owns. So for my number two is The Thing, a title that I've talked about a million times on the channel. This is one of my favorite 4K restorations out there, period, to this day, right? And this one came out, quite a few years ago? I don't remember what year they put this restoration out, but I've had it for quite some time, I think like 4 years or something. And it's an incredible restoration. The Rob Bottin practical effects are going to blow your mind how good they look on this. It really is. I mean, stunning doesn't even really begin to capture it, right? I mean, you can see every little tiny detail, and just a great atmosphere, great looking image, lots of pop. You got to love The Thing on 4K. So that's my number two. And then for my number one, I've been talking about this film so much lately that I was almost reluctant to even put it on the list, but I'm not going to do a top 31 must-own horror movies list and not put my favorite film of all time. Alien, of course, right? And of course, I've got the Alien chunky boxes up there. But Alien, if you don't own Alien yet, I'm not going to spend any time on this because I've talked about it so much on the channel. But if you don't own Alien on 4K yet, you got to get it in your collection. It's absolutely a must-own. It truly is an incredible, stellar restoration. I can't even watch this film on Blu-ray now after having seen it on 4K. It's like hard to go back and watch it in high definition after you've seen how good it looks on 4K. So I can't recommend this one enough on 4K. For my number one, Alien. Okay, so that about wraps it up for my my top 31 must-own 4K horror movies from the 70s and 80s. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you think of my list? And what are some of your favorite 4K movies from that era? I always love chatting with you guys and interacting with you guys in the comments, so make sure you leave me some feedback down below. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.